legends in bowling, Earl Anthony. I'm intrigued by this Skip Tucker, our #1 qualifier, real Cinderella guy. He's never bowled on television before. He barely made it into the event at all, Frank. Now he's leading this tournament. I talked to him this morning. He couldn't hardly sleep last night. He's very nervous, but I expect some really high-scoring matches today with some of the best players in the world competing against Skip. Well, Skip is one game away from winning $35,000, one of the richest prizes in the history of professional bowling. Right now, let's go back to Dick Stockton.
Thank you very much, Brad, and welcome once again to the Queen City of the Mississippi. We're in Memphis, Tennessee for the finals of the American Bowling Congress Masters Tournament. And working with me today is a man who has done just about everything there is to do in bowling. He's won not only this title, he's recently been inducted into the PBA Hall of Fame. You say Earl Anthony, it means bowling. However, I know you'd rather be on the other side of the lights today, wouldn't you?
I definitely would, Frank. That's the place to be.
You've won this title. It's got to be one of your dearest.
It is. It's one of the most prestigious events in bowling history, and I know that there's a lot of pressure just because of that on the players today.
Well, let's take a look at the 5 qualifiers, the 5 who have made our finals, starting with Tom Baker from Buffalo, New York.
One of the finest players, young players on the tour. He'll be very strong today.
Dave Soutar from St. Louis.
The most experienced player out there, Frank, and I think he's going to be a guy to beat in the tournament.
Wayne Webb from Tucson.
Current bowler of the year, a lot of talent there.
A long shot. Randy Lightfoot is his name.
Randy is really one of the more experienced players on television. I think Randy, if he gets a chance today, if he gets out in front, he's going to be hard to catch.
He's from St. Charles, Missouri, and of course our #1 qualifier, Skip Tucker.
He's in the best place to be. He's got to win one game. Skip has no experience, but he's still going to be hard to beat just winning one game.
Skip from Merritt Island, Florida. Now keep in mind, this is the usual king of the hill situation. Stair step, #5 plays #4, the winner plays #3, and so on, down to the championship, and the winner takes home one of the biggest prizes in all of bowling history, $35,000 plus for first place. That's a lot of loot.
Wow, he sure is.
Want to pick a winner?
Well, if I had to pick a winner, Frank, I think it'd be the winner of the Webb match. Whoever wins that match, I think, might go all the way.
Why?
Experience. I think because the most experienced players are on the bottom. Webb, Soutar, and, of course, Tom Baker. And I think whoever gets by Webb or will go up all the way.
We're ready to go. We hope you'll join us for an exciting afternoon of bowling here in Memphis, Tennessee. The American Bowling Congress Masters will be set with match 1 in just a moment. Match #1, Tom Baker from Buffalo, New York against the veteran Dave Soutar from St. Louis, Missouri. Dave is a former Masters champion.
Yes, Dave's won the tournament already, and that experience has got to help him today, especially with his television experience also, Frank.
Baker, 26 years old, very promising young bowler. As we're ready to get underway. A lot of pressure on these bowlers today. And it's always a good way to ease that pressure, isn't it?
It sure is, Frank. That's the way to get started. And that's the way to put pressure on your opponent, to make him get out of the gate just as easily.
He had a busy day yesterday, did Baker, bowling 24 games. Here's Dave Soutar.
One of the more experienced players here, Frank, is Dave Soutar. He's been around a long time. As we mentioned, he's won the tournament before. He's the oldest player in the finals, as a matter of fact.
41 years of age.
Good shot, just a little bit high there. Dave will cover this spare cross lane.
4-7 spare for Soutar. Dave really started in this business about the time the PBA was born back in 1961. Won his first PBA National that year, the first one ever held.
First national ever held. Dave has had, as I mentioned, a lot of experience. He's good under pressure. I expect him to make a lot of good shots today. That's the way to cover it, just like that.
Soutar marking in the first frame.
Little TV jitters there, I think, Frank, to start the match off for Dave. He tried to fit it just a little bit. Not quite as firm as he probably wanted to be.
This is the way Soutar got here in the match play competition. Got by some pretty good names. Of course, this is double elimination, so you can lose a match here and still stay in the tournament. It's a little different than the normal PBA format.
A little wide with that. Got it back. Got that 10-pin out. Good revolutions on the ball, Frank. The ball finished hard into the pins. That's what carried that 10-pin out for him. Tom Baker has a chance to really apply the pressure now early in the match. He can get a couple of strikes here. This is a big shot for him.
You beat him in the finals in one of the earlier events this year. Was St. Louis, was it?
He's tough to beat. Yes, I did win the St. Louis tournament. Tommy was a leader. I don't really want to bowl him for a living. Watch the smooth arm swing. Good follow through, good extension, smash. Oh, came through a little high for him.
Well, Baker didn't like that. Let's take a look at it again, Earl.
I'm sure he didn't. Watch the good extension in the arm swing. Not a real high swing, just a good fluid motion, shoulder level, good position to get through the shot, good long extension. I think he was just a little soft with that one, Frank. The ball broke very sharply on the back end for him, and that's why it came in a little high on the head pin.
Leaving the 3-6-10 here.
Right, he'll go cross lane at this and try to make the ball hold. On the back, good spare, good cover.
Baker marking in the second. This is the way his week has gone. He also lost one match during the course of the week. Actually, you start this tournament by qualifying. 480 bowlers started on Monday. And it was total pinfall for a couple of days till they got down to the final 64 and then worked their way down to the final 5 today.
A little more extension on that one. Got it farther from the line and didn't get it back.
So Baker with a little problem here in the third frame. Let's look at that here on CBS Action Track. Watch the way it goes.
Going over about the 7 board, out to about the 3 board, Frank, and real sharp break on the back end, just out of the picture there.
The break comes awful late, doesn't it?
Very late, and that's the idea. The idea of playing that outside angle is to bring the ball in from a wide angle to the pocket and creates maximum carry.
Baker in the third.
Here.
Got it.
Good cover. These players are all excellent spare shooters, or they wouldn't be here at this point, Frank, because one of the prerequisites to making the telecast this week was the fact that you could make spares. Cross lane here, spares have been very difficult, and the players that have made most of their spares have done very well.
Dave Soutar, he has more of a classical style, wouldn't you say?
One of the finest students of the game on the tour. He studied the game for a long time. He's changed his game over the years to compensate for the changing lane conditions. He has a much higher roll on the ball. By higher roll, I mean the ball rolls closer to the thumb and fingers than the other players.
Take a look at it from this angle here. Third frame action.
Good push away. Shoulder level again, and again in the same position that Baker was in to go into the shot. Good extension. This is a difficult spare on these lanes, and I think
this is the bucket, is it not?
This is the bucket.
2, 4, 5, 8.
2, 4, 5, 8. Cross lane. One of the more difficult spares here. If you go a little more direct, the ball has a tendency to hook on the back end and chop. And
it's Judy Soutar, his wife.
And if that particular ball skidded by the bucket. That's Judy Soutar, right. She is a member of the WIBC Hall of Fame, the Women International Bowling Congress Hall of Fame, and she's a fine bowler in her own right.
She bowled in the women's counterpart to this, which wound up yesterday in Baltimore, and did not qualify, as a matter of fact. So it's Dave turn to bring home the paycheck this week.
That's right. And Dave is 12 pins behind this early in the match. It's still really not that much of a deficit.
Oh, got a break there with the 10.
That's right. The ball was late going into the pins. It was behind the head pin, and that's what causes that kind of a reaction. The 5 went in front of the 10, and he barely got the slap on the... 5 went in front of the 7, excuse me. He barely got the slap on the 10 pin to get it out, or he'd been in real trouble.
9 count for Soutar here in the 4th frame. Baker leading. Winner will take on Wayne Webb, the bowler of the year last year. So he picks up his spare, but Dave Soutar is now in a position of playing catch-up. He's 12 pins down through 3.5 frames. Tom Baker up in the 4th frame. First match in our stepladder finals as he takes on Dave Soutar, looking for that $35,000 pot at the end of the rainbow.
Tom is one of the more deliberate players on the tour, and when he gets up in the approach, watch him try to work his fingers into that ball so they're comfortable for him. He won't throw it until he's really absolutely got them just the way he wants them. He's ready to go now. He's all set. Good lift.
Perfect.
Can't do much better than that, huh, Frank? Oh. Fine shot.
A large and enthusiastic crowd appreciating every moment of it here in the Cook County Convention Center in Memphis. That's the way it looks right now. Baker with a 12-pin advantage as we go to the 4th frame.
What Soutar has to be very careful of here, Frank, is not to let Baker get too big a lead on him early in the match, because once he does, he's going to be very difficult to catch.
Soutar won this event in '73. Baker, of course, looking for his first major tournament victory, has one on the PBA Tour. That's amazing. You know, he gets so close to that channel on the right side, you think that thing is heading in there.
It can happen. Even the best bowlers in the world, once in a while, get one that goes a little errant on them, and it ends up in that channel.
Look at how close it gets to that channel.
Well, watch how far down the lane before it breaks. Then a very sharp break into the pins, and he got a good kick off the wall. That was the key hit there. You get the kick off the wall to carry the 4-7.
Soutar needs to do something here with Baker working on a double. And that's not it.
Very difficult spare again, Frank. It's the same spare he missed earlier in the match.
Soutar, winner of 16 PBA titles down through the years. His last win was in 1976, so it's been a while.
Last time he shot this spare, Frank, he shot cross lane at it. Let's see if he makes an adjustment on this one and goes to the left side of the lane and goes more direct. Cross lane again. Let's see if he can hold it. No.
Yep.
As I mentioned before, that's the problem with the cross angle on that spare. It either doesn't quite get there, and he left the, or it chops like this one does. So it lets the ball break sharply on the end and leave the 5-pin only. And Dave is in a lot of trouble right now. He's got to get something going. Right now, he has to start, or he's just going to be out of the wood.
Soutar with that gem of a 300 game on Friday night. 13th in PBA history. In Masters history, I should say.
Right. He tried to make an adjustment there, Frank. He tried to go a little farther out on the lane with the ball, make it break a little later and get a sharper break on the back. The ball went too far before it broke into the pocket, never quite made it. He has a very difficult spare. He'll have to cross over on this, try to make the ball go through the 1-2-4 area and slide the head pin, the 1-pin, into the 6-pin.
Soutar in the 6th frame, trying to pick up the spare.
Not quite.
Open again. No smiles from Judy Soutar this afternoon so far.
Talking to the players before this match started, while they were practicing, Frank, I asked Dave Soutar how he felt about this particular pair of lanes, since only one player out of all 5 have bowled on this pair during the match play portion of the tournament, and he felt that the pair was a little more difficult. The scores might be a little lower on this pair. And Tommy got a little wide there with the ball, and it didn't make the turn on the back. And that particular shot would have got back on the lane condition they bowled on throughout the week, which is the other end of the center.
You could almost hear the crowd breathe deeply as that thing almost went in the channel.
It sure did. Now look at the sharp break on the back. He was fortunate to get the 10-pin out. If the ball had broke just a little harder, he would have had what they call the washout, the 1-2-4-10. A much more difficult spare. But this spare itself is difficult.
1-2-4.
For the same reason that Soutar had trouble with the bucket. He got it on the outside. Not the way I think he wanted to make that particular spare, but he's happy. Look at the smile on his face.
Well, why not? He's up 45 pins. You'd be smiling too, wouldn't you?
Sure would.
Of course, it's very difficult, is it not, to come from the number 5 qualifying position all the way down and win this thing?
It is, especially when you have to go through a player of the caliber of a Wayne Webb, who's waiting to bowl the winner of this match. If anybody can do it, this fella can do it, though. He has the ability and the confidence in his game to shoot the big score when he needs it.
Tom Baker, 7th frame, strikes. So Baker keeps it rolling. He's on a tear right now, leaving Dave Soutar by 45 pins after the 7th frame. There's our alternate, Tom Laskow. You ever hear of an alternate making the field?
Well, I've never seen it happen on television, Frank. It could have happened, but I didn't know about it, but I've never seen it.
You got to be here, though, just in case.
You never know. But he is only the alternate for the first game, Frank. And after the first game, the loser of the first match becomes the alternate. So he's got to have something happen to either Soutar or Baker for him to get in there. And it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Soutar trying to get his concentration back as he's up in the 7th, trailing by 45 pins in our first match of our stair-step process to determine the 1981 Masters champion. There it is.
That looks like Dave Soutar. one of the best games on the tour of all time. Good, even pace, heel to toe with the footwork. Good position to go through the shot, planted at the foul line, hips square, one of the better players on the tour. Now, Dave has to have this one, Frank, or you can just about say goodbye to Dave Soutar. Dave Soutar defeated Tom Baker earlier in the matches, and Baker must be looking for a little revenge at this point.
That was only his second strike a moment ago. Now he's got it. Got a double working through the 8th.
He's made a move on the lanes, Frank. Dave has moved farther out towards the edge of the channel. The ball wasn't finishing for him before. He's moved closer to the edge of the channel, get more angle to the pocket. He started the ball rolling a little sooner, slowed it down a little bit so he can get the ball to finish into pins. That's been a good move for him with the double.
25-year-old Tom Baker of Buffalo. He won out in your territory in Fremont, California.
That's where we bowl next week.
A year ago.
He's going to win a lot of tournaments with the ability he has. Got a break there, Frank. The ball was late again. It could have very easily been the 2-8-10.
CBS Action Track. Watch it bend.
Now, he really didn't make a bad shot as far as getting the ball to his target and release. I think he increased his speed a little bit. Coming out of commercial, the players have a tendency to overreact and they're a little pumped up, and they want to get a little more speed on the ball and to make sure they don't go through the nose. And I think that's what Tom was thinking there.
Baker looking at the 2-8 here in the 8th frame.
He's made some difficult spares this match, Frank. It's kept him in there. If Soutar can keep it going, I think right now there's a good possibility that Dave Soutar will strike out. The maximum he can shoot, of course, at this point is 200. Tom Baker going at a 205 clip could spare out and win the match.
Baker has not been open yet in this game. He has a 35-pin advantage. Next up, looking on with great interest, Wayne Webb, who will bowl the winner of this game. 1980 Bowler of the Year. A man who's come a long way in a big hurry. Baker in the 9th. 10-pin.
Not a difficult spare under these lane conditions. He'll naturally cross lane at this spare. Tom Baker, when he shoots the 10-pin, has a tendency to spin the ball. If you watch his wrist release at the point right at the foul line when the ball comes off his hand, you'll see a great deal of reaction out of his wrist. The ball will spin into the corner pin.
Got it. Baker, a very, very consistent bowler. In fact, during 1979 and 80, for over 1,600 games, he averaged over 215. Big frame now for Dave Soutar. He's 34 pins down as we go to the 9th. He almost has to strike out here.
He has to have this one. If he doesn't strike here, the match is over. He knows it, Frank. Good concentration. Good shot.
Keeps it going.
That's what makes champions right there. The ability to make the shots under pressure, and Dave Soutar is one of the best that ever played.
Talk about pressure was on him on that particular ball as you look at it again. He
look at
had
his
to
face.
have it.
Look at the concentration. Good extension. Well down the lane, rolling into the pins. Excellent shot. He needs 2 more just like it, though, Frank. I don't want to be in his shoes.
Pretty good reaction there by Soutar to that last ball. We go down to the 10th frame.
Ball's high.
I think he got a break there, didn't he?
What a break, yes. What a time to get it, too, right when you need it. He was short with that ball. He laid it down early on the lane, and it naturally, because he laid it early, it started to roll sooner and crossed over the head pin.
What this does in effect now, it reduces Baker's lead to just 14 pins, so he's got to be thinking about it.
Well, he's thinking, gee, I wish he hadn't got lucky there. That's what Baker's thinking, because the match would have been over. But as it is, Soutar gets this one. He forces Baker to get good count on his first ball and a spare.
He's got 4 strikes in a row working.
It's there. Well, he needed that one, Frank, and he couldn't have thrown it any better. That was an excellent shot. Now, this shot is just as important as any of the others because the count is so important. He must get all 10 to make Baker get good count on his first ball in order to still have a chance to win the match.
So he's looking at a 200 game. You can see that Baker's lead has been reduced drastically, but of course he is yet to bowl the 10th frame.
Still concentrating. Look at the look on Soutar's face. He knows he needs every pin.
This is for his 5th straight strike. What a way to finish.
Great finish. Great finish by a great player.
200 game for Dave Soutar after a very shaky start.
Well, the pressure has shifted from Soutar right to Baker. This is it.
And to Judy Soutar, too, I think, a little bit, huh?
Look at him work those fingers into that ball. He's got to get him just right, so he's really comfortable.
What does he have to do?
He must get at least a decent count, 7 or 8 pins on the first ball without an open. That's all. Tom Baker's your winner. This sets up a really classic match between two very fine players, Wayne Webb and Tom Baker.
Baker's looking at a potential 214 here, but it is all academic at this point, despite that tremendous rush at the end by Dave Soutar. The early frames hurt him, those open frames.
Yes, he made the right move, though, when he moved farther out on the lane, get the ball to finish higher than the pins. Just a little bit late. That was Soutar had moved there 2 frames earlier, Frank. It would have been a much better match, I think. I think if he'd have put a little more pressure on Baker earlier, Baker would have bowled even better, I think. He would have responded to the pressure.
There's a rather unusual shot of what happens from behind. Dave Soutar congratulating the winner of match 1, Tom Baker, who will now go against Wayne Webb in our second match. CBS Sports Sunday will continue with more Masters Championship bowling after this word from your local stations. Frank Lieber along with Earl Anthony. We're at the Cook County Convention Center in Memphis, Tennessee. American Bowling Congress Masters Championship. Our second match, Wayne Webb against Tom Baker. This is Webb's final practice ball. They'll shake hands in effect and come out bowling.
I think what we can look for here, Frank, is a very high-scoring match as opposed to the first match. Mostly because Baker has made an adjustment on the lanes. I think he's going to score better now. He's got over the stage fright a little bit that everybody has on their first match on television. And Wayne Webb is always aggressive. He's always ready to go. So I think this could be one of our biggest scoring matches of the finals today.
Of course, the player who is qualified higher gets the choice of lanes. How big a deal is that?
Well, that's very important to the players, and Wayne Webb has chosen to make Tom Baker start the match, which means that Wayne Webb will finish the match first, and he'll be sitting on the bench putting the pressure, if it's a close match, on Tom Baker to try to beat him in the 10th frame.
Didn't quite start as strong as he did in the first match when he opened with the strike.
Tom's a little tentative. I don't understand that. Normally he's an aggressive player. I think he may be thinking maybe I moved the wrong way. I think he might move back out to his original angle. The reason he moved in, I'm sure, is because if you remember, he threw a couple of balls that broke sharply on the end and came up high on the head pin.
Dave Soutar, by the way, wins $7,500 for finishing 5th. Baker gets his mark in the first frame. Now you'll get your first look at Wayne Webb, the bowler of the year last year. What are his strong points, Earl?
Well, his strongest point is so much talent. It's obvious. He's a very talented player. But I think what makes him a winner is the fact that he's very aggressive. He really has confidence in his ability, and he goes out there charging. Good start.
10.
Good shot for his first shot there, Frank. He went right at him.
His address is rather different, isn't it, the way he holds the ball?
It is. It's a unique position. I think it started with Carmen Salvino, who was the first one to do this. Look at the high backswing and the very, very strong follow-through. Good, strong release. That's why he gets that hard hit on the back end. He calls himself the Green Machine.
Well, he knows this is money day, right?
Yes, and he's going after it. He's always been aggressive. He will be the one to beat, I think, today. Whoever wins this match, I think, could win the tournament.
Tom Webb, or rather Wayne Webb, during the course of the week, defeated some pretty big names to qualify for the finals.
He defeated George Pappas, who led the qualifying for this event going into the match play.
Second frame.
Excellent shot. Now he's out where Tom Baker originally was playing, and I think Tom should probably move back out to that original line he was playing, way out on the edge of the lane.
On action track, watch it.
Right near the channel, as far out as you can get without getting it in the channel, and right back to the pins. Tremendous roll on the back end. Let's see if Tom's made an adjustment.
Baker in the second.
He is back farther out. He's back where he belongs, I think. I think we're going to look at a big game now here.
There are guys who simply do a better job of adjusting during a match than other guys, right?
Right. I think Tom, what he has done is move farther back out to the original angle he was playing and increased his speed, which was the proper adjustment to make. That's where he scored all week, the best. That's where he should play.
King of the Hill is the way we play it. Winner of this game meets our next qualifier, who is Randy Lightfoot.
There he is. Oh!
Got a break with the 7. Left it dangling, but it went.
Well, it would have been a bad break, Frank. I think if it had stood up, it was an excellent shot. It couldn't have thrown it much better. And the ball finished so hard that it just forced all the pins into the corner and knocked the 7 out. Watch how hard the ball breaks in the back end as it just crowds the 7-pin out. Pushes everything to the left and crowds it off the lane.
So Baker working on a double. Webb trying to match him here in the 3rd frame. And
There's
does.
a break. Got a break. Now that's a good break, Frank. When you kick that 4 out from that angle, normally you don't expect to trip the 4 from there. You expect to carry the light hit and not the high hit.
You know, I'm curious. Wayne Webb is only 5'5". A guy like Soutar, 6'3". Does height make a difference, being an outstanding bowler?
I don't think it really does. People say that the shorter players have an advantage. They're closer to the lane. Than other people say the tall player is an advantage because he can reach farther out and control the ball better. I disagree with both theories. I think it's really matters how good your arm swing is more than anything. That's the key to playing the game well. A good arm swing. Difficult spare here. Very difficult. Cross lane. Cross lane, he could slide by the back pin. See the ball break sharply in the back.
How would you play this?
I would play it cross lane. I think Wayne probably will play it cross lane also. But he may play it out on the edge and try to hold the ball on line.
3, 6, 9, 10. Can he get it? Nope. Wayne Webb is open. 3.5 frames. We'll be back in just a moment. Well, going to be interesting to see what BENITEZ does when he moves up a weight class to challenge Morris Hope. Sugar Ray Leonard, the only man to ever beat BENITEZ, joins Tim Ryan and Angelo Dundee. That'll be at ringside in Vegas next Saturday on CBS Sports Saturday. Here's Baker rolling in the 4th frame, up 16.
Oh, boy. Again, coming out of the commercial. Tom Baker increased his speed, delayed the roll. The ball was late coming into the pocket. Watch the footwork here. It's excellent footwork. He has a tendency to drift to the left. By drifting to the left and swinging back to the right to release the ball, creates good leverage, makes the ball hit harder on the back end.
All of these bowlers go with the traditional 5-step approach?
Well, there are a lot of players that use 4, but everyone on the program today, as far as I know, uses a 5-step approach.
Baker picks up his spare in the 4th frame. He has a 15-pin edge over Wayne Webb as we go to frame 5.
I really don't think that Tom is quite comfortable yet. He doesn't really look to me like he's really sure what he's trying to do out there. He's still experimenting a little bit with his speed and his release.
He's a comeback story of sorts. In '78, he underwent surgery to his right wrist, hopeful of correcting the soreness, and he's come back very strong.
There he is. Again, he's very firm with the shot. The ball delayed, came in late in the pocket, but with all that energy coming in there, with all that roll, destroyed the pins. The late break, way down the lane, coming in very sharply in the back. 5-pin into the 7, tremendous power. Here's a power player, Wayne Webb. Sharp break on the back.
Do you lose your concentration at times? Is it a matter of...
Well, when you get behind, when you've made a bad shot and you had time to sit there and think about it, you can get in trouble. Wayne really didn't make that bad a shot on this shot. You can see he went through the shot. Now look at his foot turned sideways at the foul line. A lot of people say, well, that's a poor position to be in at the foul line, but Wayne has already released the ball. It's off his hand, doesn't affect the shot.
3, 6, 10, and he gets it. Webb marks in the 5th. He's still down by 15 pins, however.
Frank, the reason that he turns sideways like that with his foot at the foul line is because he plants his foot, he pulls the ball through at the bottom, using his left side to create leverage and power, which makes the ball on the back end break so sharply. And if he's anywhere near the pocket, normally his strike power is tremendous.
Webb just 23 years old. He's already won almost $200,000.
Like that. That's power. Just destroyed the rack. He liked that one. He'll be back with some more of those. You can count on it. He got that one where he wanted it.
This is Wayne's first trip to the Masters tournament.
Again, Tom, very deliberate, making sure he's ready before he throws the ball.
He's up by 15 pins, rolling here in the 6th frame. Match 2 of our stair-step process from the Cook Convention Center in Memphis, Tennessee.
A little late.
Left the 10.
He should cover this quite easily. Cross lane. Again, the ball was late. Tom is still making sure that he's not going to go through the nose. He's still playing that extreme outside angle, the ball right near the channel, and a very sharp break in the back, but his speed has increased this game over last game. The ball is coming in very late. That's really kind of a bad break when you don't carry the 10 pin out there, but you're going to leave more of those than you're going to trip that 4 pin from that angle. Cross lane, spin the ball right into it.
He's Mr. Consistency, Tom Baker. He's up by 15 pins after having bowled in the 6th frame.
A player like Wayne Webb, Frank, puts a lot of pressure on the other player that he's bowling in a one-game match because he's so explosive. His tendency is to go along and kind of lull you to sleep, and all of a sudden he throws 5 or 6 in a row at you. And Tom knows this, so he doesn't want to give him that chance. He needs to get another double or turkey up there to keep the pressure on Wayne.
Again, leaving himself a bit of a problem.
It's all because of that first game. That first game when he threw a couple balls that broke sharp, came in high on the head pin. Now he's increased his speed again, as I mentioned several times before, to avoid that. And he can't quite get the finish high enough into the pocket to carry the corner pins, or even sometimes get quite to the pocket.
Finishing out in the 7th frame, Baker picking up his spare, remains 14 pins in the lead over Wayne Webb, and we'll be back in Memphis after this. From the Cook Convention Center in Memphis, Frank Lieber along with Earl Anthony. First game, Baker over Soutar by a margin of 4 pins, and Tom Baker right now has the lead over this man, Wayne Webb. 14-point advantage. Webb is up in the 7th. Big shot for him.
Big shot. He has to have this one get back in the match. He knows it. It's getting late in the match. Excellent shot. Oh, what a bad break.
Looked like he hit it solid.
I don't think Wayne feels he could throw the ball any better than that. It was good. It was good extension. Delayed the roll very well. Sharp break on the back end. Just too much power. The pin goes into the wall, comes back around the 7 pin. It's a bad break.
It's an extremely confident bowler and a good one under pressure. Webb marking in the 7th. Still trailing by 14 pins. Winner of this match to go against Randy Lightfoot from St. Charles, Missouri, who's our number 2 qualifier.
Now this is the point where Wayne can lull you to sleep. All of a sudden he'll get up in the 8th frame here, make a good shot, get the strike, just like that. And if Tom isn't careful, he'll just strike right on out and shoot that 224, and Tom's got to get something going here.
There's Lightfoot, the young Missourian who beat the winner of this match on the practice lanes off to the side. Baker in the 8th.
I feel he has to strike here and strike in the 9th.
Toughest break of all.
Toughest break of all. Again, the ball laid into the pocket, coming in behind the head pin. Watch the break of the ball way down the lane before it's moved. Coming in way behind the head pin. 5 pin goes in front of the 7. Pin lays in the channel next to the 10. What we call an impossible spare, Frank.
You just go for the 1 count here? You just give it a shot? What do you do?
Throw it hard at one of the corner pins. Hope you get a lucky break. It bounces around or something. No such thing for Tom today.
So Baker is open in the 8th frame, and his lead is cut to 1 pin.
The all-important 9th frame here, Frank. He must strike in the 9th for a foundation to go into the 10th frame to have a chance to put any pressure at all on Wayne Webb, because he feels, I'm sure in his mind, that Wayne Webb's going to be up there throwing strikes in the next 2 frames.
Gotta have it. He got it.
A good move there. Good move there. Frank, he moved in a little bit on the lane, went more direct to the pocket, and he carried the corner pin that time. The ball didn't break quite as late into the pins.
Now, Webb, we mentioned, is very tough under pressure. This is a key shot for him as he steps to the line in the 9th frame. Trailing by 1 pin.
Look at the concentration on his face.
Oh, my.
I never would have believed it, but it can happen to everybody. Even the best can get into trouble sometimes. The bowler of the year, and he didn't get there for making shots like this, folks.
All right, how do you play the 6, 7, 10?
I saw him make this in a crucial situation last night. He's going to go cross lane at this, try to slide the 6 pin across into the 7. The ball will take out the 10 pin. Needs a lot of speed on this ball to keep it from breaking too soon for him. He'll throw it very hard.
He gave it a shot.
Good effort. No luck.
So he is open now in the 9th, and Baker's lead suddenly has jumped back to 13 pins.
The key, I think, at this point is that Baker is on the strike in the 9th frame, and Wayne must double to make Tom Baker get a mark in the 10th frame. Oh, that's gone.
Never came back for him.
Never came back. He got it too wide. I think Wayne just felt he was kind of out of the match. And he's a very disappointed young man right now. He, I'm sure, was thinking of that $35,000. That's a lot of money for him.
Plus the title. Which means a great deal. This is one of the, what you call your Grand Slam events?
This is one of the big ones. This is one of the big ones. The
PBA National, the U.S. Open.
Firestone Tournament of Champions and the Masters. Excellent shot. Now that shows you why he's a champion. He never gives up. He made that very difficult spare. And what that does is force Tom Baker to get a mark in good count to win the match.
Watch his reaction to this ball.
Difficult spare. He must get good count here too, Frank. It's important.
Leaves him the 7. Even the gold shoes didn't help today, huh?
I guess not. I guess not. The Green Machine, as he calls himself, just had one of those days where things didn't go his way. Tom Baker, even at this point, must have a mark. And good.
Why mess around?
Well, that's the way to do it when you need a mark, right, Frank?
That's the same manner in which he closed out Dave Soutar in the 10th frame. Just came up and bowled a strike, and that was it. So Baker has climbed 2 very big chunks of this mountain. En route to be king of the hill, will qualify to meet Randy Lightfoot in our next elimination match. He's looking at a 215 possibility here.
I think, based on my feelings about the players experience-wise, at this point, I'd say Baker might be the favorite to win the tournament, even though he still has to win 2 more matches, Frank.
A very decisive victory. As things turn out in match 2, he strikes here. He's got a 215. Webb with a 181. And will take home the 3rd prize, which is a nice payday nevertheless. Great way to finish. 4 straight strikes for Tom Baker, the winner of match 2. Next up, Randy Lightfoot, and we'll be back with that match in just a moment. Tom Baker 2 for 2 so far, defeating Dave Soutar in the first match. And now Wayne Webb, the bowler of the year last year in match number 2. And next up for him is Randy Lightfoot. Now Baker, you figure, has bowled 2 games on this pair. He's got to have an advantage here, doesn't he, Earl Anthony?
Definitely he'll have an edge now. Randy Lightfoot has had to wait off to the side while the first 2 matches have been completed. Tom has got lined up in the pair now. I think he feels a lot more confident about his ability to throw strikes.
He's got 1 more practice ball coming.
And Tom,
look at his style.
I would guess at this point, is going to be the man to beat the rest of the way in the tournament.
Now Lightfoot has won 1 PBA event. That was in Miami in 1978. It's his 2nd Masters, first time he's qualified. Interesting story about Lightfoot. He almost missed his wake-up call yesterday. And, you know, obviously would have been out of the tournament, and got over here from the hotel out of a dead sleep in less than 10 minutes and was bowling and won the match by 1 pin.
That's amazing. Randy has a tendency to do that. On the tour, he's one of the kind of guys that's always showing up at the last minute. He might get fined once in a while for missing roll call, something of that nature.
Baker to lead it off, as he has in the other 2 games. Again, the choice of lanes was up to Lightfoot. Baker opens with a strike.
Now Baker has moved a little bit farther toward the center of the lane. He's playing a more direct angle than he was before. He's been moving back and forth, back and forth. First he moved back out and tried more speed. Now he's moved back in, slowed it down a little bit. Evidently he feels more comfortable by moving a little bit to the left with a little less speed.
He's been a very consistent bowler all week long. Leaves the 10 in the first frame.
Randy is playing farther out than Baker on the lane, right near the edge of the channel, and he's throwing much more speed. Trying to break the ball later into the pins. Hold the roll, get it farther down the lane before it moves, and he could shoot a high score, but I still feel that Baker is probably the player to beat the rest of the way.
A little more experience, perhaps.
Experience is the key, plus the 2 games already on the pair. Whoops.
Oh!
I don't know if he stuck or slipped there, Frank. He evidently definitely had some problem with his footwork.
Let's take a look at it again. Maybe you can see if he slipped here.
He
Obviously threw him off.
He's in good position at that point. Oh, he almost fouled. That's his problem. He was trying to keep from fouling, so he stopped himself there. And he's tiptoeing across there like a tightrope walker. Oh, bad break. Really 2 bad breaks in a row to leave the 10 pin on a good hit and then come back and leave the solid 9. The ball just cut through very, very sharply in the back, cut right through the pins. The penalty of throwing too much ball sometimes is it'll cut through the pins and you'll get tapped where you wouldn't have with a little less hit on the back end, a little less hard roll.
Lightfoot in the second, going for a spare. This tournament, of course, is actually a tournament within a tournament. It is the culmination of the 3-month American Bowling Congress extravaganza, and they have estimated that after next week, when it ends, they'll have rolled 300,000 games on these 40 lanes.
Oh, boy. But to look at them right out there now, Frank, you'd never know anybody bowled on them. They're in perfect condition for these championships.
These, of course, are temporary lanes. Baker may want to take them home with him.
Well, he's got it going now, Frank. He's going to be tough to beat.
These lanes will be moved out following the conclusion of the tournament. And the tournament moves on next year to Baltimore. And then to Niagara Falls, and then to Reno.
Look at all those lovely places I get to go. Niagara Falls, I'll take my wife. Reno, I'll lose all my money.
Baker, 3rd frame. Got a double working here. 3rd match against Randy Lightfoot.
Whoa! Spun it around. Bad break for Tom, good break for Randy. He was a little short with that shot, Frank. Watch it break a little sooner on the lane. It crowds the head pin, goes right around it. Look at that, it's halfway over. Oh, well.
Well, that ended quite a string for him. You'll recall he wound up the last game with Webb with 4 straight strikes. Opened with 2 here.
Even though Randy has got off to a slow start, he has made 2 great shots. I still expect him to get something going here.
Randy Lightfoot down 20 pins, rolling in the 3rd frame. Winner to take on Skip Tucker, the #1 qualifier for the $35,000 top prize.
That's what got him here, throwing it like that. Randy will not get nervous in this situation. He's been there before. He knows what TV experience is. Look at the evenly paced steps. Good position at the foul line. The only mistake Randy may make in his game is his abruptness at the foul line. He does cut the ball short sometimes, especially when he needs one really bad, and that can get him in trouble. By cutting short, I mean he rears up at the foul line and pulls the ball across his body sometimes.
Lightfoot in the fourth.
Excellent shot.
Got the double. So that puts him back in pretty good shape. He's down by 10 pins through 3.5 frames of this match. Tom Baker looking for his second national title and his biggest win ever. Of course, his biggest payday ever. He has been open just 1 frame through almost 2.5 matches here. Strikes in the fourth. Tom Baker. 3 strikes and 4 frames. Coming up 5th frame. He's got a 10-pin advantage. Wayne Webb, by the way, finished 4th. Wound up winning $9,900. Total of $141,000 in prize money distributed this week. Baker rolling in the 5th and leaves himself a problem. The only open frame he's had, he had that 7-10. Leaves the 4-6-7. Take a look at the action on that ball. Does a very good job. Very, very consistent. And a very tough pickup here. So he is open in the 5th. And we'll get a breather. Quickly, let's go to Earl Anthony with our #1 qualifier, Skip Tucker.
All right, Frank, with me is Skip Tucker, the tournament leader. Skip, what do you think is the biggest thing for you today, to win the tournament for the $35,000 or the fact that it gives you an exemption into the Firestone Tournament of Champions?
Well, just to win a tournament, Earl. The Firestone is a dream, you know, for everybody that bowls in the PBA, and this Masters, that's just the epitome of bowling for me.
Great. Okay, good luck to you today, Skip. Back to you, Frank.
Lightfoot picking up a strike in the 5th frame, is now up in the 6th. So he has got a turkey working, triple. Lightfoot with a 12-pin advantage. Intense concentration. Left the 7. Did not hit it solid. The thing about Lightfoot, he has a very much of a delayed roll on his ball. Very tough from an inside angle. He's averaged 218 this week. And he's the only player to bowl on this pair during the course of the tournament, which might give him, Earl, some type of slight advantage.
I don't know. Based on the fact that he didn't bowl here for 2 days, Frank, really the lanes have changed, I'm sure, a little in that period of time. It's not going to help him that much.
He's having a little trouble slipping and sliding here. You almost want to cross the foul line again. Very close. Look at that.
It looks like he's just... It doesn't look like his footwork is a problem. It just seems that the approach seems a little slippery for him. It doesn't look like he's being able to put the brakes on, you might say. Randy's approach looks good and solid till right at the end.
Baker in the 6th. Trailing by 11 pins right now. Still plenty of time to get it back.
Oh, threw it well. Threw it well, Frank. Just one of those bad breaks in the game of bowling.
Leaves himself the 10-pin. Baker from Buffalo. For a while there, after he had that wrist surgery, he thought his career might be over. So he's come back. He lost his exemption, fought his way back. Very feisty young guy, very well respected by the pros. Marks in the 6th. Baker 11 pins down after bowling in the 6th. He seems to have less of a problem with his footwork.
No, he's very solid at the foul line, and he's sliding quite a bit farther back. Randy has a tendency to be close to the foul line, Randy Lightfoot, whereas Baker normally is about 8 to 12 inches behind the foul line. And it could be that the slippery point is just past where Baker stops.
7th frame.
Oh, there is the ball very late coming into the pins. And Tom knew it when it left his hand. He knew it was going to be trouble.
2-10 split.
Now watch how far out, see how far out the ball was, close to the channel, Frank. It's very late getting back. Tom knew it when he let go. He knew he was in trouble. He was hoping he'd get that 10 pin out, but it didn't happen. It's a very difficult spare here. He's going to go cross lane.
Now, he seemed to be on the verge of losing it a couple of times, but he's always seemed to make the adjustments that were necessary to get it back again.
Right. You're going to go cross lane at this, try to make the 2 pin go into the 10 pin.
Baker is open. He gave it a great shot. He wasn't going for the 1 pin. He wanted to get them both. We'll be back in Memphis with more bowling in just a moment. Andy Lightfoot in command here in the 7th frame. He's up 25 pins. And Tom Baker, after winning the first 2 matches, is now definitely in trouble. Big trouble.
Powerful strike. Randy knows he's in for the kill now. If he can get the next one, he's got a very, very big lead with just a few frames to play. Watch the arm swing, straight back, drift to the left, open the shoulders, and get all that leverage and hit into the ball and make the ball finish so sharply on the back.
Man is just very, very consistent. 5 strikes.
Something that most of these players do, Frank, is drift left. They create that much leverage in the shot. They'll drift to the left so that they can swing the ball out to the right again.
We're looking at all right-handers now. What happened to all your lefties?
I guess we're just over the hill or something, Frank. I think I finished around 24th, so I struggled this week. And
Baker maybe getting a little nervous. You know, you mentioned how important footwork is. I guess that's for your average bowler. That's the thing they can watch and learn from watching these pros.
That's right. The consistency of the approach. Do it the same way every time so that they get to the foul line the same, make that good shot. That was a difficult spare. Now, you notice the difference the way Randy shot the spare as opposed to the way Dave Soutar shot that same spare earlier in the match, earlier in the telecast.
Lightfoot covering the 2-4-5.
He shot it directly down the left side, whereas Soutar shot cross lane and missed 2 of them.
Baker trailing by 25 pins, up in the 8th frame. Needs a strike, needs it bad. Needs it now. Got it.
And he got it like he always does, it seems like, when he needs it. There he goes again. He's still in the match, very much so. He can possibly shoot 213, but he has to have this strike in the 9th. This is the key hit for Tom. To have a chance to shoot that 213, he must strike here.
Another extremely key ball for Tom Baker. 9th frame. Looking at a 213 possibility, as Earl mentioned, but needs strikes to get back in this, trailing by 25. Yes!
Oh, what a break, huh? What a break. Tripped out to 4-7-10.
That cuts it down to 15.
Watch this on the replay.
Is he intense?
Watch him run this one out. He knows it's going to be close. He's hoping it won't go through the middle. Look at the look on his face there. Oh, yes, he says. Oh, yes, I'll take that one.
Lightfoot trying to come back and answer now, and does.
Just amazes me, Frank, how these players can do this time after time when they need to do it under pressure, knowing that if they lose, they're out of the tournament.
He's got a 228 possibility working here if he strikes out from this point as we go to the 10th frame.
This is a key for Randy now. We're back to key shots again. It's late in the game. Randy strikes here, and he can put it out of the wood for Tom Baker if he strikes and gets a good count on the next ball. Well, you can't do much better than that, Frank. Absolutely perfect.
That'll close the door.
Now the key for Randy, as we watch him throw the ball, watches the ball go down the lane.
He knows how big this is.
He knows it's there, too. Look at him. Yes, he says, I'll take that one, too. That's an answer to Tom Baker's double. Now the key for Randy is to keep the ball in play. He's going to have to keep it in the pocket area. He doesn't want to get a bad count, because even with a bad count, he can still put Tom Baker back in the match. Oh,
Got
boy.
the good count. Looked a little tentative for a moment.
It sure did. It sure did. I think he's very happy with that. I think he thought, uh-oh, that's going to be the bucket. If he'd have left the bucket and then possibly missed it.
Look at that boogaloo.
Yeah, he's saying, oh, give me some pin action. That's what that little dance means. Just move those pins around. Get something falling down there.
Final ball now, looking at 217.
Well played game by Randy.
Fine 217 game. And despite the great efforts of Tom Baker, who won the first 2 matches, he is eliminated in the 3rd.
I'm wrong again, Frank. I predicted Tom Baker.
I'm going to give you one more shot at predicting, and that'll be for the final match. We'll see if you're batting 1,000 for that.
I'm afraid to say anything now. I really thought that Tom would be hard to beat there, and well, he did bowl well, but Randy came out very aggressively. Actually, the first 2 balls he threw were excellent shots, and then he stuck or slipped and left one out when he shot the 10-pin and missed it.
Great effort by Tom Baker, simply rolling it out here in the 10th frame, knowing there's no way you can pull it out at that point. It's got to take a little starch out of you when you throw that ball.
Yeah, but like a true professional, he's finishing out with good shots.
Randy Lightfoot is going to have a chance at a $35,000 first prize. Man who's won once on the PBA Tour. He'll be going against a man who's never won on the PBA Tour, and in fact wasn't even entered in this tournament. Got in on a standby basis. That's our #1 qualifier, Skip Tucker. That'll be our situation. Our final game worth $35,000 to the winner. As Baker finishes up in grand style with 213, but not enough. Red Musburger will be back at the CBS Sports Desk in New York with a CBS Sports Sunday update. Then we'll be back with more bowling. Join us. All right, thank you very much, Jack, and looking forward to watching the final few holes of the Colonial NIT, one of the more prestigious stops on the tour. One more step now to the top of our ladder. Skip Tucker and Randy Lightfoot fighting it out for over $35,000. Now, one interesting point here is who will start. Tucker, of course, has the selection of which lane. What do you think, Earl?
Well, I think that he's going to make Randy start the match. I think the players in his situation with very little TV experience would like to sit down and let the other guy have to make that strike when they need it in the 10th frame. By having Randy start the match, that means that Skip Tucker will be finishing his 9th and 10th frame, and Randy will still have to bowl his 10th frame to end the match. And I'm wrong again.
You're batting 1,000.
Oh, what a day.
Hey, don't forget now, Roberto Duran's been working out in New York in an attempt to get his weight down so he can fight at least one more time. But he talks about wanting yet one more shot at Sugar Ray Leonard. That story following today's bowling on CBS Sports Sunday. Some interesting things coming up for you in a boxing vein and the Colonial Golf Tournament a little bit later on this afternoon. But right now, all attention on the Cook Convention Center in Memphis, Tennessee. American Bowling Congress Masters title on the line in this match worth $35,000. And Tucker opens up with a strike.
My. Now that's courage for you folks. I'll tell you what. Come out your first time on television under all that pressure, for all that money, the Masters Championship, one of the biggest ever in bowling, and throw that ball as good as that. That's great.
Lightfoot trying to match it here in the first frame. Leaves the 7.
Bad break for Randy there. It was a good ball.
Again, if you joined us late, interesting story on Tucker, the #1 qualifier. He was not in the tournament at the start of the week. Had to wait around the morning hoping someone wouldn't show up. They didn't. He got in the tournament that way. 480 bowlers. He's now the #1 qualifier. Never won a national title. Never been on television.
Oh, my.
Randy Lightfoot missing that completely.
I'm amazed that he shot that spare the way he did, Frank. He shot the spare from the left-hand side of the lane. Almost always, you'll shoot a corner pin cross lane, watch the ball skid. There's a little more oil, a little more dressing in the middle of the lane, which creates less friction for the ball, so it skids farther. The ball never turned to the 7-pin.
Now, does that unnerve you a little bit when you do that?
Well, it's really a drastic mistake at this point. And it unnerved him, obviously.
Yes. Even bigger problem here. You're looking at the 4-9.
This is
Skip Tucker.
another of what we call the impossible spares, Frank. It's the 4-6. It's straight across. He'll try to throw the ball very hard, make the pin bounce out of the pit, and the trouble he's had with the approach, he may even foul on this if he tries to throw too hard. Not quite.
So Lightfoot is opened in the second.
Disappointed, I'm sure, right at this point.
Well, he's down 22 almost right off the bat. Here's Skip Tucker. Skip is kind of a mystery man. Dark glasses, won't even tell anybody what his real first name is.
I don't think I've ever heard it either, Frank. Well, here's a good opportunity to get out early and really take command of the match. Oh, my. Well, as you can see, Frank, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of money and a lot of prestige on the line.
Profile shot here of Skip Tucker, the #1 qualifier.
From the side, you see he's a little higher than the other players with his backswing, and he's sitting down with that shot a little bit, not his normal release. Normally, he's a little more extended through the shot, and he struggled with that particular shot. He just didn't quite get through it the way he wanted to.
That's how he got here. He beat some pretty big names in bowling in the match play segment. Oh, what a spare!
He came to play, didn't he, Frank?
Holy mackerel!
He definitely came to play.
Look at it again.
What can be going through this young man's mind? He's got to be thinking, I may never get another chance like this. I'm going to make the most of it.
Now let's see his reaction when he makes that spare. 1, 2, 4, 10.
Oh, yes.
Just another day at the office.
Right. What a tough spare in this situation.
Tucker up in the third, working with a strike and a spare.
Very unorthodox arm swing, as Mr. Tucker. Very difficult to keep the good stroke going with his type of arm swing. He has a tendency to swing the ball from the inside out and then back to the back. Watch it go away from the body, come back, loop the swing in the back, and more often than not, if he makes a mistake, it'll be to the left of his target, going high on the head pin.
He's regarded as an extremely good match play bowler, very, very competitive, as he has shown this week against some of the biggest names in the sport.
Cross lane makes the spare.
20-pin advantage for our #1 qualifier, Skip Tucker. Now, if Tucker wins this, he will win $35,600 to be precise. Lightfoot will win $35,500. And we'll explain that for you.
Fine shot. Randy's back lined up again now. I don't know what happened to him early in the match. I think maybe it might be just a little bit of the jitters, but I doubt it. Randy's experienced.
Now, you get $100 for winning every match that you bowl in. That adds to the $35,000 base first prize. That's the reason that, depending how many matches you bowl, you come from the loser's bracket, you could win a lot more money.
That's right.
In this tournament.
But it's sure difficult. It's really difficult. Wayne Webb did that. He lost his first match, won 8 in a row to get into the championship round.
Lightfoot in the fourth.
Here he comes.
Got a double working. So he's trailing now by 10 pins through 3.5 frames. More of our championship match in just a moment. We're live at the Cook Convention Center in Memphis, Tennessee. As you saw Skip Tucker bowling in the fourth frame. He's our leader, up by 10 pins at this point. Frank Lieber here along with Earl Anthony, one of the premier events in the bowling year. The American Bowling Congress Masters title, one of the Grand Slam of bowling.
Skip really has a chance to put a lot of pressure back on Randy. He knows that Randy's got it going now. He knows he's lined up. He's going to have to do something here to make Randy really work hard the rest of the way.
Tucker's 33 years of age.
Again, that arm swing, I think, is going to betray him a little bit today, Frank. Swing away from his body, back across, creates a pull into the shot. If he's a little fast with his feet, the ball's going to go left.
6'10". Left from Merritt Island, Florida. Says he's a late maturing bowler. He says it takes longer for some bowlers to mature, and I'm one of them. Made 10 stops on the PBA Winter Tour. His best finish, 8th in Baltimore.
Cross lane for the 6'10". Slide the ball across the lane. Well, he made it on the outside. Any way you can get him down at this point, that's all they're thinking. Just knock him down.
It's the old line. It's not how, it's how many, right?
Exactly.
That's our scoreboard at this point. Tucker up by 10. Lightfoot now, the 5th.
Chance to tie the match here.
He's 23 years of age from St. Charles, Missouri. Never hit it solid, did he?
A little fast there. His footwork just a little fast. And naturally, when you're a little fast, you tendency to pull the ball through, and it goes to the left.
Well, we'd like to thank Lou Scalia, working on our right as our statistician this afternoon. Old cohort of yours.
Yes.
Man who won this title.
Exactly. 1967. Went undefeated. 7 straight matches and won the whole thing.
Well, something has distracted Randy. Think he
we
wants
had
a
a little
re-rack here?
problem. We had a little problem with the pins. His spare was swept off. They have to reset the pins to get his spare back up there. Take just a minute to do that.
That's a mechanical problem with the pins themselves, which will have to be remedied before we're able to go here.
A lot of things going through Randy's mind right now. He's thinking about, what did I do wrong on that shot? How can I compensate for that next time? How can I correct it?
Many players change balls during the course of a match. Is that rare?
They will, Frank, they will, but it's normally because they're lost. They don't really know what's going on out there, and they're trying to find something. And in a one-game match, it's really difficult. If you're lost, you'll usually stay that way the rest of the match. Very seldom does a player come back.
Got the spare in the 5th after the delay.
Randy's been flirting with a lot of spare problems here, and that one there, he almost missed. The ball broke a little sharper than he expected to, and he covered it on the inside. Watch the ball take the break, go a little left of the pins. He wanted to throw that ball between the 3 and the 6 pin. Instead, he got it on the left.
And yet another angle as you get an opportunity to watch the reaction of
Look at his eyes. Now, he thinks, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, thank you.
Sounds like a man who's been there before.
Yes, I know what's going through his mind. That looks good, right?
Strike in the 6th for Randy Lightfoot.
Now he's going to sit down there and he's going to be thinking, what mistake did I make on lane 18? I'm not going to do it again. I'm sure he knows what went wrong there, and he'll correct it next time.
Second place money here is over $20,000. In Tucker's case, it'd be $20,600. In Lightfoot's case, $20,500. Again, based on the number of match games they have won. The additional compensation of $100 for each match game, in addition to the base money of $20,000 for second.
He did it again, Frank. The same mistake. He's made it 3 times this match. Now watch the arm swing as it goes away from his body, around his hip, out to the right. He'll try to pull it back in line. Doesn't quite make it, so the ball rolls a little early, goes up through the middle of the head pin, and that's death right in the middle there. You definitely don't want to be up there. Another, what we call, impossible spare. Slide the ball out. So it's an open for Skip Tucker.
This will not be our highest scoring match, obviously, but it's still very close.
It's very close, and that's the key right there. As long as you're in the hunt, Frank, you've got a chance to win the tournament. That's all that counts, and that's what's going through their minds right now. Even though I'm open, Skip Tucker's thinking, I'm only 4 pins behind. I've still got a chance to win this thing if I can get something going.
$35,000 plus to the winner, a difference of approximately $15,000 between first and second. Be the biggest prize of either of these men's career.
A little better shot there.
Tucker striking in the 7th to maintain his advantage. Back after this. There you have the prize money breakdown. 35-6 for first place, 25 for the loser of this match. Tom Baker has won the $14,900 third prize by winning 2 matches, losing in the 3rd to this man, Randy Lightfoot. Lightfoot now up in the 7th, working on a strike, and currently leading by 4 pins. Again,
it's Frank, it's the pressure right now on these players is tremendous, and
we were watching him during the break, and he's 23. It looked like he was going on 63 sitting there thinking about it.
35 wrinkles going right up his forehead there. He's trying so hard. Again, he's going to try to shoot this spare down the middle of the lane, I believe.
4-7.
As he did at the 7-pin earlier, and missed it. And it's sliding again, but he got it.
So Lightfoot maintaining that 4-pin advantage. Going to be very, very tight here coming down the stretch. as the pressure begins to take its toll. Randy up in the 8th frame now. He has that type of ball that skids down the first few feet, which you bowlers like so much. It doesn't start turning right away.
Right, that's his hand reaction. He turns the ball very hard just as it leaves his hand, which creates a spinning ball will not grip the lane. It'll slide farther, and then it picks up its energy in the back. Pokes that one up there.
Yes. A little right-handed body English, I think, helped him.
That's right.
He's an interesting study after he delivers the ball, and watch how he motions here with his right hand and gives it the old hand English routine.
He says, come on, ball, get up there. Come on,
a bit to the right. Yeah, a little more. Yes.
Oh, here we go. There it is. Yes, okay. All right, now we're down there, Frank, where every shot is as important as they're ever going to make in their life. Skip Tucker must have this strike to take the lead in the match.
Tucker in the 8th, trailing by 4 pins.
And it's a good shot, Frank.
Perfect.
Excellent. Good extension on that shot, Frank. He followed through very well. He stayed down at the foul line, and when you do that, you get the ball to your target. That's the key. He'll stay down at the foul line. He won't rear up as he has on some of the other shots. Good direction. Stay down with the, see how his head stay down with the shot? He knows it's a good shot. Look at him. I know it's there. Carry it. That's what he's thinking. Come on, 10-pin.
And for the first time in a while, he's on top, leading by 6 pins. And now the pressure on Lightfoot again in the 9th. Very important ball here. Working on a strike in the 8th.
This is Skip Tucker. He needs this one to really put it to Lightfoot. Another fantastic shot. What a terrible break. At this time in the match, Frank, nothing could have been worse other than an open.
Watch the pins go down here, all but 1.
He really made this ball finish strong. He rolled it well. He stayed with the shot, and it's just a terrible break when you leave that 7-pin for a right-hander. He'll go cross lane at this. He knows how important every pin is right now. He wants to make this spare.
Skip Tucker trying to mark in the 9th. Very tight match. $35,000 top prize on the line here in the next few minutes. He gets the mark. He's up by 5. But here comes Lightfoot in the 9th. We are live from Memphis, Tennessee. Cook Convention Center. American Bowling Congress Masters. One of the more prestigious titles of the year.
Now Randy strikes here, and again in the 10th. He can put this thing away right now.
It's there for him. Randy Lightfoot working on a double, recaptures the lead. He is now 5 up on Tucker.
The situation is this, Frank, right now. If Randy Lightfoot strikes on his first ball in the 10th, then it's just a matter of count. He'll need like 8 or 9 pins and a spare to win the tournament.
So this, in all probability, as Tucker looks on, most important shot of the tournament.
If he doesn't strike here and spares, Frank, Skip Tucker can double in the 10th and win the tournament.
He's up by 5.
Biggest shot of his life right there. It's going to be exciting.
It will. We're going to have to get our computers out to finish out what may happen here.
Not only did he not strike, Frank, but he left himself a difficult spare. Cross lane spare, the 2-5 is very difficult. He wanted to make sure he didn't get the ball too high. He didn't need an open. He knows if he makes a spare, he still has a chance to win.
How do you play the 2-5?
He's going to probably play it on the left side of the lane. It's the biggest percentage shot is to play it down the left side, which he did, and try to make the ball hook in. There he got it. Difficult spare, especially under this kind of pressure.
He picks up the mark. He's looking at a 194 possibility now.
Now he needs at least 8 pins on this ball to make Skip Tucker get a double in the 10th to win the tournament.
He has a 3-pin advantage at this point in the 10th frame. Keep in mind, we're talking about a $15,000 difference. $35,000 for first, $20,000 for second.
We could have a tie here, Frank, if things go the way that... Oh, boy, what a break. That eliminates our chances for a tie. Now, Skip Tucker needs 2 strikes to win the tournament. He must have the first 2 strikes.
When we had the tie, of course, we'd done the 9th and 10th frame all over again.
I'm nervous. Just my hands are sweating just watching this.
Here's a guy who wasn't in the tournament at the start of the week.
And now the biggest...
It's never been on television.
...chance he's ever had in his life or may ever have.
2 strikes and 4 pins. That's what he needs here in the 10th frame.
Let's see if he stays down with this shot, Frank, and goes through. A little wide.
Nope.
Well, we have a winner.
Wow. Very appreciative crowd here at the Cook Convention Center. Randy Lightfoot has just won the Masters Championship and the $35,000 prize that goes along with it.
He knows it's not going to get there when he released it. He's just hoping for a good break off the wall, and he didn't get it.
He did not get the spare, but it matters not because Randy Lightfoot is the winner of the 1981 Masters Championship, and we'll be back in Memphis in a moment.
And that's me.
Thank you very much, Brent. Don't forget that Durant feature coming up. We're looking forward to seeing that. Randy Lightfoot, our winner, and gentleman here on my right is going to present the top prize to him. Ken Early. Ken.
Thank you. Randy, $35,500. On behalf of the American Bowling Congress, we wish you well on the Pro Tour. The Frank K. Baker Trophy to take along with you. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Mr. Hurley and everybody at the ABC. I'd like to thank everybody at Columbia for donating so much to this tournament. And most of all, I'd like to thank my mother and father for making this all possible.
Great job. Randy Lightfoot, the 1981 American Bowling Congress Masters champion. On behalf of Earl Anthony, Frank Lieber from Memphis. Now back to Brent.
All right, Frank, thank you very much.